Sora stared at the star map floating in front of her desk. Something was wrong with it. Very wrong. The young navigator had been working at the Galactic Cartography Institute for 3 years now, and she had never seen anything like this before. The map showed the edge of the galaxy. It was supposed to be empty space out there, just dead stars and cosmic dust. But her instruments were telling her a different story. There were things moving in that empty space, big things. She called up the old maps from the computer, maps that were made 1,000 years ago, then 2,000 years ago, then 3,000 years ago. Each time she went further back, the maps looked different. The edge of the galaxy kept changing. Stars that should be there were missing. Stars that should not be there were marked as real. This makes no sense, Sora said to herself. She heard footsteps behind her. Taman walked into the room. He was her boss and one of the best scientists in the institute. He looked tired. He always looked tired these days. Working late again, Sora? Taman asked. Look at this, Sora said. She pointed at the floating map. These readings from the galaxy edge. They do not match any of our old maps. Taman came closer. He studied the map for a long time. His face grew serious. Where did you get these readings? He asked. From the deep space sensors. They have been picking up strange signals for weeks now, but nobody wanted to check them because that area is supposed to be empty. Taman was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Show me the oldest map you can find. Sora typed on her computer. A new map appeared. This one was very old. It showed the galaxy from 3,000 years ago. In this map, the edge looked completely different. There were many stars there, and something else. Something that made Taman step back in shock. There were planets there, he said, inhabited planets, with cities, with people. But the official records say that area has always been empty, Sora said. The official records are wrong, Taman said. His voice was shaking a little. Or they are lying. The door opened again. Jinwoo walked in. He was the head of security for the institute. He was a big man with scars on his hands. He had been a soldier before he came to work here. What are you two doing here so late? Jinwoo asked. Taman showed him the maps. Jinwoo looked at them for a long time. His face went pale. I have seen this before, Jinwoo said quietly. What do you mean? Sora asked. Jinwoo sat down in a chair. He looked like he was remembering something painful. 20 years ago, I was in the military. We got orders to go to the galaxy edge, to check on some strange readings, just like these ones. What happened? Taman asked. We lost half our ships, Jinwoo said. The official report said it was equipment failure. But that was not true. We found something out there. Something that should not exist. What did you find? Sora asked. Ships, Jinwoo said. But not like any ships we had ever seen. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They moved without engines. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. What happened to your crew? Taman asked. The ones who came back were never the same. They would not talk about what they saw. The military made them sign papers, told them to forget everything. But you cannot forget something like that. The three of them sat in silence for a moment. The star map kept floating in front of them. The strange readings kept coming in. We need to investigate this, Taman said. That is a bad idea, Jinwoo said. Very bad. The military does not want anyone going to that area. Neither does the Galactic Council. Why? Sora asked. Because they are afraid, Jinwoo said. All of them. Every species in the galaxy. They know something is out there. Something powerful. Something dangerous, but we are scientists, Taman said. It is our job to find the truth. The door opened one more time. Heejin walked in. She worked for the Galactic Council as a diplomatic attaché. She was supposed to make sure the Institute followed all the rules. Hello, everyone, Heejin said. She looked at the map floating in the room. What is this? Research, Taman said quickly. Heejin moved closer to the map. She studied it carefully. Her face changed when she saw the readings from the galaxy edge. You should not be looking at this, she said. Her voice was cold now. Why not? Sora asked. Because it is classified. That area of space is off limits to all civilian ships. By order of the Galactic Council. Since when? Taman asked. Since always, Heejin said. That area is dangerous. Full of radiation and unstable stars. No one can survive there. But these readings show that something is surviving there, Sora said. Heejin looked at her sharply. Those readings are wrong. Your equipment is broken. My equipment is not broken, Sora said. She was getting angry now. I checked it 3 times. Then you are reading it wrong, Hee-jin said. Jinwoo stood up. He was much bigger than Hye-jin. She is not reading it wrong, he said. And we all know why the council does not want anyone going to that area. I do not know what you are talking about, Hee-jin said. But her voice was shaking a little. The remnants, Jinwoo said. That is what they called them in the old military files. The ones who were sent to the edge of the galaxy 3,000 years ago. Hee-jin went very pale. That is ancient history, and it is classified. What happened to them? Taemin asked. What happened to the remnants? They were relocated, Hee-jin said quickly. For their own safety, and for the safety of everyone else. Relocated where? Sora asked. To the galaxy edge, where they could live in peace without bothering anyone. But if they were relocated for safety, why is the area still off limits? Taemin asked. That was 3,000 years ago. They should all be dead by now. Hee-jin did not answer. She just stared at the map. Unless they are not dead, Jinwoo said slowly. Unless they are still out there. Still alive, still waiting. Waiting for what? Sora asked. For us to find them, Jinwoo said. Or for them to find us. The room went quiet again. The star map kept floating. The readings kept coming in. And somewhere at the edge of the galaxy, something was moving in the darkness. Taemin made a decision. We are going out there, he said. We are going to find the truth. That is suicide, Hye-jin said. Maybe, Taemin said. But it is our job, and someone needs to know what is really happening at the edge of our galaxy. Sora nodded. Jinwoo sighed but nodded too. Even Hee-jin, after a long moment, gave a small nod. They did not know it yet, but they had just decided to change the fate of the entire galaxy. The research ship Stellar Wind moved through space like a silver needle. It had been 3 days since they left the last known star system. Now they were flying into the empty darkness at the edge of the galaxy. Dong-hyun sat in the engine room watching his instruments with growing worry. The ship's engineer had worked on dozens of vessels, but he had never seen readings like these. The energy sensors were going crazy. They showed power sources that should not exist. Captain Taemin, Dong-hyun said into his communication device. You need to see this. Taemin came down to the engine room a few minutes later. Sora and Mi-young followed him. Mi-young was the ship's xenopsychologist. She studied alien minds and behavior. What is wrong? Taemin asked. Dong-hyun pointed at his screens. These energy readings. They are impossible. According to my instruments, there are power sources out here that are bigger than our home star, but there is nothing visible on our screens. Maybe your instruments are broken, Sora said. I thought so too, Dong-hyun said, but I checked everything twice. The instruments are working fine. Whatever is out there is real. It is just hidden somehow. Mi-young looked at the readings. Could it be natural? Some kind of cosmic phenomenon we do not understand? No, Dong-hyun said. These patterns are too regular, too organized. This is artificial. Someone built whatever is making these energy signatures. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. How big are we talking about? Some of these structures appear to be the size of moons, Dong-hyun said. Maybe bigger. Jinwoo's voice came over the ship's speakers. He was on the bridge watching for any signs of danger. We have company, Jinwoo said. His voice was tense. Everyone rushed to the bridge. Jinwoo was staring at the main screen. At first it looked empty, just black space and distant stars. Then Sora saw it, a faint shimmer in the darkness. Like heat waves rising from hot ground. What is that? Taemin asked. I do not know, Jinwoo said. But it is big. And it is moving toward us. The shimmer grew larger. Slowly a shape began to appear. It was a ship, but unlike any ship they had ever seen. It was smooth and curved, like it had been grown instead of built. It had no visible engines, but it moved through space with perfect grace. It is beautiful, Sora whispered. It is terrifying, Jinwoo said. Hee-jin sat at the communication station. Her hands were shaking as she tried to contact the strange ship. Unknown vessel, this is the research ship Stellar Wind. Please identify yourself. For a long moment, there was no answer. Then the speakers crackled to life. The voice that came through was clear and speaking their language perfectly. Greetings, Stellar Wind. We have been waiting for you. Everyone on the bridge froze. The voice sounded almost human, but not quite. There was something different about it. Something that made their skin crawl. Waiting for us? Taemin asked. How did you know we were coming? We know many things, the voice said. We have been watching your galaxy for a very long time. We saw your ship when it entered our territory. Your territory? Heejin said. This area is supposed to be empty. There was what sounded like laughter from the speakers, but it was not a happy sound. Empty? Oh, my dear galactic friends. This area is far from empty. Would you like to see? Suddenly, the space around them lit up. Dozens of ships appeared out of nowhere. They surrounded the stellar wind in a perfect circle. Each ship was different, but they all had the same smooth, organic look. But that was not the most shocking thing. In the distance, Sora could see massive structures floating in space. They looked like cities, but cities that existed without planets. Huge towers and domes connected by bridges of light. Some of the structures were spinning slowly, creating artificial gravity. By the gods, Mi-young whispered. How is this possible? We built it, the voice said. We have had 3,000 years to build. 3,000 years to grow. 3,000 years to become something new. Who are you? Taemin asked. We are the ones your people call the remnants, the voice said, but we call ourselves by an older name. We are humans. The word hit the bridge like a physical blow. Humans. Every species in the galaxy had heard stories about humans. Ancient legends spoke of a race that was exiled to the edge of the galaxy long ago. A race that was too dangerous to be allowed to live among the other species. That is impossible, Hyejin said. Humans were primitive. They had no technology. They were barely able to fly between stars. Is that what they told you? The voice said. There was sadness in it now. Is that the story they teach in your schools? One of the human ships moved closer to the stellar wind. A beam of light appeared between the two vessels. It was some kind of transport beam, but it did not look like any technology they knew. We invite you to visit our home, the voice said. We have much to show you. Much to explain. This could be a trap, Jinwoo said quietly. Yes, Taemin said. But we came here to find the truth. I think we are about to get more truth than we bargained for. The transport beam touched the stellar wind. To everyone's surprise, it felt warm and pleasant. Not dangerous at all, we will not harm you, the voice said. You are our guests. We have been alone for so long. It will be good to have visitors. One by one, the crew members stepped into the transport beam. Sora went first, followed by Mi-young, then Donghyun. Taemin and Jinwoo went together. Heejin was the last to go, and she looked terrified. The transport beam lifted them up and carried them to the human ship. When they materialized inside, they found themselves in a room that defied all logic. The walls seemed to be made of living metal that shifted and flowed like water. The air was clean and fresh, filled with the scent of growing things. A figure stepped out of the shadows to greet them. It was humanoid, but clearly not from any species they knew. It was tall and graceful with pale skin and dark hair. Its eyes were the most striking feature. They seemed to hold depths of knowledge and experience that no mortal being should possess. Welcome, the figure said. My name is Sujin. I am what you might call an ambassador. Though that word does not really describe what I am. You look almost like us, Sora said. Like our species, I mean. Sujin smiled. It was a sad smile. We are the template, Sujin said. We are what your species were based on. Long ago, humans spread across the galaxy. We shared our genetic patterns with other worlds. We helped create the species that would later exile us. Why? Mi-young asked. Why did they exile you? Because we grew too fast, Sujin said. We learned too much. We became too powerful. The other species feared that we would consume the galaxy, so they decided to remove us before we became unstoppable. But you survived, Taemin said. Oh, we did more than survive, Sujin said. We thrived, we grew. We became something that they could never have imagined. Something that would make their worst fears seem like pleasant dreams. Sujin gestured to a wall and it became transparent. Through it, they could see the vast human city floating in space. Ships moved between the structures like schools of fish. In the distance, they could see what looked like stars, but these stars were artificial. Humans had learned to build their own suns. This is just one of our cities, Sujin said. We have hundreds of them, scattered throughout this region of space, hidden from your sensors by technology you cannot comprehend. How many of you are there? Hyejin asked. Her voice was very small. Sujin looked at her with those deep, ancient eyes. More than there were when we were exiled. Many more. We have learned to extend our lives, to improve our bodies, to expand our minds. Death is no longer our master. What do you want from us? Jinwoo asked. Want? Sujin said. We want nothing from you. We have everything we need. But there is something we must tell you. Something your leaders need to know. What? Taemin asked. Sujin's expression grew serious. The exile is ending. We have decided it is time to return to the galaxy, whether your people are ready or not. The human city called New Seoul was impossible. Taemin stood on what Sujin called an observation deck, staring out at buildings that seemed to exist in several dimensions at once. Some structures appeared solid, while others faded in and out of reality like dreams made of metal and light. How, was all Taemin could say. Woojin stood beside him. The human diplomat looked young, maybe 30 years old, but his eyes held the weight of centuries. He had been explaining human history for the past 2 hours, and each revelation was more shocking than the last. We learned to bend space, Woojin said simply. Time too. Matter and energy became our tools instead of our masters. What you see as impossible is just basic engineering for us. Sora was studying a wall that showed the interior of the building, but the wall was also a window and a computer screen and something else she could not identify. It responded to her thoughts before she even touched it. This technology, Sora said. It reads minds? Not exactly, said Ara, the human scientist who had joined them. She looked to be about 25 with bright eyes and a friendly smile. It reads intentions, desires. It tries to help you do what you want to do before you even know you want to do it. Mi Young was taking notes frantically. As a xenopsychologist, she was fascinated by what she was seeing, but she was also deeply troubled. Your entire civilization has evolved beyond anything we understand, Mi Young said. How is this possible in just 3,000 years? Young Ho laughed. He was the former military commander who had joined their tour group. Unlike the others, he looked older, maybe 50. But even his apparent age was probably an illusion. 3,000 years? Young Ho said. My dear alien friends, we have lived much longer than 3,000 years. Some of us were alive when your species were still learning to make fire. That is impossible, Hyejin said. No one lives that long. No one lives that long naturally, Ara corrected. But we stopped being natural a long time ago. She held up her hand. For a moment it looked normal. Then it became transparent. Then it turned into pure energy. Then it became solid again. We learned to control our bodies at the molecular level, Ara said. Death became optional. Disease became impossible. We can be anything we want to be. Donghyun had been quiet during most of the tour. As an engineer, he was trying to understand the technology around him. But everything he saw broke the laws of physics he knew. Your power sources, Donghyun said. I cannot detect any fuel being consumed. No waste heat being produced. Where does the energy come from? From reality itself, Woojin said. We learn to tap into the fundamental forces that hold the universe together. We take what we need and give back what we do not. You are talking about magic, Jinwoo said. Not science. What is the difference? Young Ho asked. Science that is advanced enough looks like magic to those who do not understand it. But it is still science. They walked through more of the city. Every street was a marvel. Trees grew in impossible spirals, their leaves shining like stars. Rivers flowed upward through the air, forming bridges and waterfalls that defied gravity. Children played games that involved manipulating light and shadow with their bare hands. Those children, Mi Young said. They are doing things that should require massive machines. They are the new generation, Ara said proudly. They are born with abilities that took us centuries to develop. Each generation is more capable than the last. What about the old generation? Taemin asked. The ones who were alive during the exile? Woojin's expression grew sad. Most of them chose to move on, to become something beyond physical existence. They exist now as pure consciousness, helping guide our civilization from a higher plane of reality. You mean they died? Sora asked. No, Woojin said. They transcended. Death is just another barrier we learned to overcome. They came to a large building in the center of the city. It was made of what looked like crystal, but the crystal was alive, pulsing with inner light. This is our archive, Young Ho said, where we keep the memory of our history. Would you like to see what really happened 3,000 years ago? Inside the archive, the walls showed images from the past. But these were not recordings. They were memories preserved perfectly by human technology. The crew could see and hear and smell everything as if they were there. They watched the Great War that led to human exile. But it was not the war they had been taught about in school. In their history books, humans were described as primitive barbarians who threatened galactic peace. The reality was very different. The humans in the memories were brilliant and beautiful. They had built cities that floated in the clouds. They had tamed black holes and turned them into power sources. They had begun to explore dimensions beyond normal space, but they had also been aggressive, competitive. They spread across the galaxy like wildfire, claiming worlds and resources with frightening speed. Other species began to fear that humans would dominate everything. "We were not evil," Wu Jin said as they watched the memories, "but we were dangerous. We wanted to grow, to explore, to become more than we were. The other species wanted to stay safe and comfortable." The final memory showed the exile itself. A massive fleet of alien ships surrounded human space. The humans could have fought. Their technology was already superior, but they chose not to. Why? Taemin asked. "Why did you not fight back?" "Because we knew that war would destroy both sides," Young Ho said. "So we accepted exile. We came to the edge of the galaxy and built a new home. And we waited." "Waited for what?" Heejin asked. "For the galaxy to grow up," Era said. "For the other species to become mature enough to accept us as partners instead of seeing us as threats." "And are they?" Sora asked. "Mature enough?" The humans looked at each other. There was a long silence. "That is what we are trying to determine," Wu Jin said finally. "Your expedition was not an accident. We allowed you to find us. We wanted to see how the galaxy would react to proof that we still exist." "You have been watching us," Jinwoo said. "It was not a question." "Of course," Young Ho said. "We have monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, invisible to your technology. We know about every political decision, every scientific breakthrough, every military movement. We have been waiting for the right time to reveal ourselves. Why now?" Ma Young asked. "Because your species have finally begun to approach the level of maturity we achieved 3,000 years ago," Era said. "Some of you are ready to join us in the next stage of evolution." "And if we are not ready?" Heejin asked. The humans were quiet for a moment. Then Young Ho spoke. "Then we will make the decision for you," he said. "We have been patient for 3 millennia, but our patience is not infinite." "That sounds like a threat," Jinwoo said. "It is not a threat," Wu Jin said. "It is a fact. The universe is too big and too dangerous for primitive civilizations to survive alone. You can join us willingly or you can be forced to evolve. But you cannot stay as you are. Like, what if we refuse?" Taemin asked. Era looked sad. "Then you will go the way of all species that refuse to grow. You will become extinct, not because we will destroy you, but because the universe will. We learned that lesson long ago." The tour was ending. The crew of the Stellar Wind had seen wonders beyond imagination, but they had also learned truths that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. As they prepared to return to their ship, Wu Jin gave them one final gift. He handed Taemin a small device that looked like a crystal. "This contains everything we have shown you today," Wu Jin said. "Take it back to your leaders. Let them see what we have become. Let them decide how they want to proceed." "What happens next?" Sora asked. "That depends on your people," Young Ho said. "We hope they will choose wisdom over fear, but we are prepared for either choice." As the crew prepared to leave, they knew that their galaxy would never be the same. The age of human exile was ending. The age of human return was about to begin, and no one could predict what that would mean for the billions of beings who called the galaxy home. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours. Representatives from all 7 major species sat around the massive circular table on Felthara Prime. Their voices echoed through the chamber as they argued about what to do with the information from the Stellar Wind expedition. Shi Jin had sent her secret message 3 days ago. She had transmitted everything they had learned about the humans to the council before the expedition team could stop her. Now the galaxy was in panic. Taemin sat in a small room next to the main chamber. He and his crew were under guard, waiting to give their testimony. Through the walls they could hear the shouting and arguing. "They are terrified," Sora said quietly. "They should be," Jinwoo replied. "I have seen what those humans can do. If they decide to return by force, no military in the galaxy can stop them." Mi Young was reading reports on her tablet. News from across the galaxy showed the same pattern everywhere. Emergency military buildups, civilian populations fleeing from the rim worlds, stock markets crashing as people realized that everything they thought they knew was wrong. Listen to this, Myung said. The Velthari Empire has activated their planet-killer weapons. Weapons they have not used in 1,000 years. What good will planet killers do against beings who can manipulate reality itself? Dong-hyun asked. Meanwhile, at the human settlement of New Seoul, Sunmi stood before the human assembly. The philosopher and peace advocate was trying to convince her people to take a gentle approach to reintegration. We have a chance to show them that we have grown beyond our old aggressive nature, Sunmi said. If we return with violence, we prove that their fears were justified all along. But Kang Ho, the fleet commander, disagreed strongly. His ships were already positioned at the edge of human space, ready to move into the galaxy proper. Look at how they reacted to simple knowledge of our existence, Kang Ho said. They mobilize armies. They prepare for war. They have learned nothing in 3,000 years. They are still the same fearful primitives who exiled us. The human assembly was deeply divided. Some supported Sunmi's peaceful approach. Others agreed with Kang Ho that only strength would ensure human safety. A third group wanted to remain hidden, continuing their isolation rather than risk another conflict. Back on Velthara Prime, Da-Yoon was studying the tactical situation in her military command center. As the Council's top strategist, it was her job to find a way to defend the galaxy against the human threat. But every analysis led to the same conclusion. It is hopeless, Da-Yoon told her staff. Look at these capability reports. The humans can manipulate space and time. They can appear and disappear at will. They have technology that we cannot even understand, let alone counter. Her aide, a young officer named Kildong, looked at the data with growing despair. What about our alliance with the machine intelligences? Kildong asked. They have computational power beyond anything organic minds can achieve. The machines are even more afraid than we are, Da-Yoon said. They have already started moving their core processors to hidden locations. They know that human technology could turn them off like light switches. In the council chamber, the arguments were becoming more heated. The representative from the Zeridian Collective was demanding immediate military action. We should strike first, the Zeridian said, while they are still contained at the galaxy's edge. Wait too long and it will be too late. The Altarian ambassador disagreed. Strike them with what? You saw the reports? Their cities exist in multiple dimensions. Our weapons cannot even reach them properly. Then we use the Omega Protocol, the Zeridian said. The entire chamber went silent. The Omega Protocol was the galaxy's most terrible secret, a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems. It had been built as a last resort against existential threats, but it had never been used. You cannot be serious, the Velthari representative said. The Omega Protocol would kill billions of innocent beings, and we are not even sure it would work against the humans. While the politicians argued, Taemin and his crew were brought into the chamber to give their testimony. They described everything they had seen, the impossible cities, the godlike technology. The humans who had transcended death itself, did they threaten you? The council chairman asked. Not directly, Taemin said, but they made it clear that they will return whether we want them to or not. They believe we need their guidance to survive in the universe. And what do you think? The chairman asked. Taemin was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I think they are probably right. The universe is bigger and more dangerous than we know. If the humans have found ways to survive and thrive for thousands of years, maybe we should listen to what they have to say. His words caused an uproar in the chamber. Several representatives accused him of being a human sympathizer. Others demanded that he be arrested for treason. But Sora stood up and spoke clearly above the noise. You can arrest us if you want, she said. But that will not change the facts. The humans are coming back. The only question is whether they come as friends or enemies. And right now, our reaction is pushing them toward being enemies. On the human world of Terra Nova, a young girl named Yoonji was playing with her friends in a park that existed partially in normal space and partially in a parallel dimension. She was only 8 years old, but she could already do things that adult humans from 3,000 years ago would have considered impossible. She could see across dimensions. She could communicate directly with the planet's artificial intelligence. She could manipulate matter at the atomic level just by thinking about it. Yoonji suddenly stopped playing and looked up at the sky. Her friends asked what was wrong. The old galaxy is afraid, Yoonji said. They are planning to hurt us. Will they succeed? One of her friends asked. Yoonji smiled. It was the innocent smile of a child. But behind it was the wisdom of a being who could see the flow of time itself. No, Yunji said. But many of them will die trying. That makes me sad. Her teacher, a human named Bora who looked young but was actually over 200 years old, came over to see what the children were discussing. What do you see, Yunji? Bora asked. Warships moving toward us, Yunji said. They have big weapons, but the weapons cannot hurt us. They will only hurt themselves. Bora looked concerned. She activated her neural link to the human communication network. In seconds, she was connected to the human assembly. The children are seeing military preparations, Bora reported. The galaxy is preparing to attack us. The news reached Kang Ho within minutes. The fleet commander smiled grimly. He had been expecting this. So much for peaceful reintegration, Kang Ho said. They have made their choice. Now we make ours. He activated his fleet-wide communication system. All ships prepare for immediate deployment. We are going to remind the galaxy why they feared us in the first place. But Sunmi was not ready to give up on peace. She opened a direct communication channel to the Galactic Council. Council members, Sunmi said, her voice broadcasting across the galaxy. You are making a terrible mistake. We do not want war. We want partnership. We want to help you evolve and grow. Please, do not force us to defend ourselves. The Council's response was to cut off the communication and accelerate their military preparations. Timon and his crew watched all of this from their detention cell. They had become unwilling witnesses to the beginning of what might be the galaxy's last war. This is all our fault, Sora said. If we had not gone looking for the truth, none of this would be happening. The truth was going to come out eventually, Jinwoo said. The humans were already planning to reveal themselves. At least this way some people know what is really at stake. What is at stake? Mi-young asked. The future of conscious life in this galaxy, Taemin said. Either we learn to coexist with beings who have become like gods, or we all die trying to fight them. Outside their window, they could see military ships gathering in orbit around Felthara Prime. The largest fleet in galactic history was assembling for what everyone knew would be either a glorious victory or a devastating defeat, but no one except the humans knew which one it would be. The largest fleet in galactic history hung in space at the edge of known territory, 7,000 ships from every major species in the galaxy. Battleships the size of cities, weapons that could crack planets, all of it aimed at the empty darkness where the humans were supposed to be hiding. Jae-sung commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Vigilance. The Supreme Commander had fought in dozens of wars, but he had never seen his crews so afraid. Everyone knew they were flying toward either victory or extinction. Long-range sensors show nothing, his aide reported. The target area appears completely empty. They are there, Jae-sung said. Somewhere. The humans are watching us right now. He was right. Deep in human space, Hyun-woo stood in the control center of New Seoul, watching the approaching fleet through sensors that existed in multiple dimensions. As the elected leader of humanity, the decision of how to respond was his alone. They have brought their entire military, reported Kang Ho. The fleet commander's own ships were ready to fight. 7,000 vessels, every species represented. And how many ships do we need to stop them? Hyun-woo asked. 1, Kang Ho said simply. Maybe 2 if we want to be careful. Hyun-woo sighed. The weight of 3,000 years of human development rested on his shoulders. His people had become something beyond the understanding of their former neighbors. But great power meant great responsibility. Send out the invitation, Hyun-woo said. Sir? Kang Ho looked confused. You heard me. Send them an invitation. Tell them we want to talk. Meanwhile, on the flagship of the Galactic Fleet, Jae-sung was studying tactical reports when the communication system activated. The voice that came through was calm and friendly. Greetings, Supreme Commander Jae-sung. My name is Hyun-woo. I speak for humanity. We invite you and your fleet to visit our home. This is a trick, Jae-sung's tactical officer said. They want to get us into a trap. What trap could hold 7,000 ships? Jae-sung asked, but even as he said it, he remembered the reports from the Stellar Wind expedition. The humans had technology that defied understanding. You have 30 minutes to consider our invitation, Hyun-woo's voice continued. After that, we will come to you instead. The communication ended. Jae-sung looked around his bridge at the frightened faces of his crew. Sir, his communications officer said, we are receiving a data package. It contains coordinates? Coordinates to what? A meeting place. It appears to be a space station of some kind, but our sensors show nothing at those coordinates. Jae-sung made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Set course for the coordinates. All ships maintain defensive formation. The fleet moved forward into the darkness. For an hour they flew through empty space. Then suddenly reality began to change around them. A structure materialized in front of them. But calling it a space station was like calling a mountain a pebble. The thing was vast beyond imagination. It stretched across hundreds of kilometers, made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like living metal. By all the gods, Jae-sung whispered. The structure was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Lights moved through its walls like blood through veins. Parts of it existed in normal space while other parts flickered in and out of reality. How is this possible? His aide asked. We built it this morning, came Hyun-woo's voice over the communications. We thought you might need a safe place to meet. Built it this morning. 7,000 ships worth of admirals and generals tried to process that statement. The humans had constructed something the size of a small moon in a few hours. Do not be afraid, Hyun-woo continued. The station exists partially outside normal space-time. Your weapons cannot damage it. But more importantly, our weapons cannot reach you while you are inside it. It is neutral ground. A docking bay opened in the side of the station. It was large enough to hold the entire galactic fleet. This is clearly a trap, Jae-sung's tactical officer said. Everything about this situation is a trap, Jae-sung replied. The question is whether we spring it now or wait for them to spring it for us. The fleet entered the docking bay. The inside was even more impossible than the outside. The bay seemed to expand to accommodate all 7,000 ships, each one finding a perfect docking port waiting for it. Jae-sung and the other fleet commanders were transported to what Hyun-woo called the meeting chamber. It was a vast room with walls that showed views of deep space, but these were not recordings. The walls were somehow transparent to the universe itself. When Hyun-woo entered the chamber, Jae-sung was surprised. He had expected some kind of monster. Instead, he saw a being that looked almost like his own species, tall, graceful, with intelligent eyes. But there was something about Hyun-woo that made it clear he was not quite natural anymore. Welcome, Hyun-woo said. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We came here to stop you, said Admiral Veltar of the Zeridian fleet. To prevent you from invading our galaxy. Invading? Hyun-woo looked genuinely confused. This is our galaxy too. We were here first, remember? You were exiled, said Commander Tross of the Altarian forces. For the safety of all peaceful species. Yes, Hyun-woo said sadly. You were afraid of us. And perhaps you were right to be afraid. We were young then. Aggressive, dangerous. He gestured and the walls of the chamber changed. They now showed images of human civilization at the edge of the galaxy. Cities that floated in space, ships that moved between dimensions, technology that seemed like magic. But we have grown, Hyun-woo continued. We have learned wisdom. We no longer wish to conquer or dominate. We wish to share them. Share what? Jae-sung asked. Before Hyun-woo could answer, a small figure entered the chamber. It was Yoonji, the 8-year-old human girl. She looked around at all the alien military officers with curiosity. Hello, Yoonji said. Why are you all so scared? The effect of her presence was immediate and profound. Every being in the room felt something they had never experienced before. It was like standing in the presence of a star. Not the heat or light of a star, but its fundamental essence. Pure energy and possibility. What is she? Jae-sung whispered. She is the future, Hyun-woo said proudly. Yoonji represents the next stage of human evolution. She can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. She can communicate across vast distances without technology. She can manipulate matter and energy with her thoughts. Yoonji walked up to Admiral Veltar, who was trembling with fear. You do not need to be afraid, Yoonji said gently. We want to help you become like us. It does not hurt. It is wonderful. Become like you? Veltar said. You mean give up our bodies? Our individuality? Oh no, Yoonji laughed. You do not give up anything. You just become more. You can still be yourself, but you can also be so much more, Hyun-woo nodded. This is what we offer to the galaxy. Not conquest, but transcendence. Not destruction, but transformation. And if we refuse? Jae-sung asked. Hyun-woo's expression grew serious. Then you will remain as you are. Limited, mortal, vulnerable to all the dangers that exist in the universe. Eventually something will destroy you. Not us, but something else. A cosmic disaster. A war with beings from beyond this galaxy. The universe is not a safe place for primitive civilizations. You are saying we must evolve or die? I am saying that evolution is inevitable. You can guide it, or it can happen to you randomly. We are offering to guide it. Yunji walked over to Commander Tross. She held out her small hand. Would you like to see? She asked. I can show you what it feels like. Just for a moment. Tross looked terrified but also curious. Slowly, he reached out and touched the child's hand. For a moment, his consciousness expanded beyond anything he had ever imagined. He could see across the galaxy. He could feel the thoughts of every living being. He could sense the flow of time and space itself. It was beautiful and terrifying and wonderful all at once. When Yunji let go of his hand, Commander Tross staggered backward. His eyes were wide with amazement. I saw everything, he whispered. I was everything. That is just the beginning, Hunwoo said. With time and practice, you can learn to maintain that awareness while still being yourself. You can be both individual and universal. The military commanders looked at each other. Everything they had believed about the universe had just been shattered and rebuilt. This is your choice, Hyunwoo said. Some of your species will choose transcendence. Others will choose to remain as they are. Both choices are valid. We will not force anyone to evolve. But we will no longer hide what is possible. What happens now? Jae-sung asked. Now you return to your people, Hyunwoo said. You tell them what you have seen. You let them decide their own fate. Some will fear us. Some will embrace us. Most will probably choose something in between. And the military buildup? The weapons aimed at your territory? Hyunwoo smiled. Commander, your weapons cannot hurt us. But more importantly, we no longer wish to hurt you. The age of conflict between our peoples is over. The age of cooperation is beginning. As the galactic fleet prepared to leave, Yunji gave each commander a small gift. They looked like simple crystals, but they contained something far more valuable. They held the memory of transcendence, the knowledge of what it felt like to be more than mortal. Some commanders would study their crystals and begin the long journey toward evolution. Others would lock them away, too frightened to explore their possibilities.